Hello everyone! Hi, it's me Angie. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here with Jordan once again.
Hello.
We are going to be going over part 2, so the second half of the anthology, The Tortured Poets Department by Taylor Swift. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I'll have it linked in the description below or in the eye in this corner, I believe. Basically, we went through songs 1 through 16 of the second half of the album, talking about...
First half.
Thank you.
Doing second half today.
yes, doing the second half today. We did the first half last time, and we just literally deep dived, broke down every song from songs 1 through 16, and today we're doing songs 17 through 31, the second half of the album today. Thank you, Jordan, for being here.
Of course.
And we'll just jump right in. Really quick disclaimer, we're not experts. We know a lot about Taylor Swift. She knows a lot more about Taylor Swift and 1975 Maddie Healy than I do. We're just really big fans. Does that mean we're experts? This is what we think in our opinion, and we could be wrong. You might have different opinions. That's totally okay. You're allowed to have those opinions. Just don't be mean about it. And let us know what you think. We might be open to hearing what you have to say.
Yeah.
But
I'm always open to like my theories being debunked if they're debunked in a smart way and like
with enough evidence.
Yeah, with enough evidence. I'm definitely not an expert on the 1975, but I know a little bit, so that's where I kind of like gather some of this info from.
But we'll start with song number 1, The Black Dog.
So I was telling Angie, as I was kind of like prepping for the video, that the bulk of the lore really is in 3 songs on the anthology portion. So we've got The Black Dog, we have Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, and Peter. And so those are the 3 where there's like heavy, like lots to talk about there.
Lots of lore.
Yes. And so the rest of them, this album, like you could kind of tell the first half of the album is really cohesive and has, not really cohesive, but it's pretty cohesive and has similar themes, whereas then she breaks out on the anthology talking about a bunch of different things and isn't as cohesive.
We might kind of be more concise, I guess, on the other songs in the album, like So High School is pretty self-explanatory, or like Thank You aIMee or I Hate It Here, whereas these 3 songs in the second half are more like
Those are the bulk of it,
yeah, in terms of the lore going back to part 1, like they have the connections. Is that right?
That's true. Yeah, those do have more connections to the first. So
so
we'll get started with Black Dog, everyone's fave.
We talked about this a little bit, in the first half of this video. If you haven't watched that, again, check it out. We talked about how this is not a bar in England, but a bar in Ireland, we said.
That's the theory. It has been confirmed as of yesterday when we were filming this that Joe did confirm he has never been to the Black Dog. Therefore, this song definitely is not about him. But we still don't know, is she talking about the Black Dog in London? Is she talking about it in Ireland? Is she talking about a fake bar that's not actually called the Black Dog and it's something else? It could be that. My money is on the one in Cork, Ireland, that was a couple miles from where the 1975 was playing in June. And we'll get into it here of why everything points to Maddie. It just isn't a Joe song. So I love how this like opens, because it's such a modern thing of like somebody leaving their location on and spying on them.
I know. And it's something that you don't realize that you like forget that would hurt you after a breakup.
That's true.
When you are in a breakup and you're not dating that person anymore, it's crazy how like something like that simple can be such a hurtful thing. Yeah.
She was, you know, probably in bed after tour one night or something like that. Who knows? And was like checking up on him. And she sees that he is in a bar.
Pause. Okay. My cat is meowing. Hold on. She's such a little star. She's like, let me know. Okay. I love you, but you're being annoying.
Yeah, so it's such an interesting thought that, you know, she's stalking her ex, she's falling and laying in bed one night. Yeah. You know, it gets the better of us. And she sees that he's at a bar. But then we go into the chorus, which is where it's like ding ding ding, Maddie Healy, Maddie Healy.
The starting
line. How you don't miss me in the Black Dog. When someone plays the starting line, you jump up, but she's too young to know this song that was intertwined in the magic fabric of our dreaming.
So
now,
good.
There are a few times that Maddie has covered the starting line. It's the song The Best of Me. And if you're a former Sweemo, if you're a Sweemo, you may know. You get up the best of me. One time that they covered it was, I don't have the exact date, but it was the end of April.
Different chord for different generations. You lot think I Always Wanna Die is 11. Older dudes think, tell me what you thought about when you were gone. We're so alone. The worst is over. You can have the best of me. We got older, but we're still young. We never grew out of this feeling that we won't give up. Shout out to people in their 30s.
And what happened, and like a week later, they're together. So April 22nd, 23rd, it's looking like, based off like a super quick Google search, should have gotten these before. But so he played it then, and then he plays it at in Manila at one of their shows in early May when he was about to go leave. I think he left Manila, was the last show he played before he went and ran off to Taylor to see her at Eras.
We never grew out of this feeling that we won't give up. The starting line had no right writing that song at 17 years old.
Clearly, that's
connection between
a
Maddie,
connection there. Pull up the lyrics,
which are very telling, and like, oh, interesting that like she mentions this song. She's bringing up the song "The Best of Me" because she doesn't mention the song "The Best of Me." She just mentions the band, the starting line.
But then if you follow that, okay, what is the how is the starting line linked to Maddie? And you look at Maddie has covered a song called "The Best of Me." Someone plays a starting line. She's too young to know this song that was intertwined in the magic fabric of our being. Tell me what you thought about when you were gone and so alone. The worst is over, but you can have the best of me. We got older, but we're still young. We never grew out of this feeling that we won't give up. Maddie and Taylor met when they were younger, and they had to grow up. He said, you're going to grow up, then you're going to come find me, all those things.
It relates to their story.
Verse 2, here we lay on two separate beds, writing phone lines to meet a familiar voice and pictures drawn from memories. We reflect on miscommunications and misunderstandings.
So Maddie and Taylor.
And missing each other too. Or missing each other too much to have let go.
This is something that, what's interesting about the song is that she doesn't know this happened. This is something she's putting up in her head, which is so interesting. She's like, I'm picturing in my head you walking into this bar, because I could see her walking into this bar, and I could picture this thing happening. Very interesting that she's going to make that up in her head. Not
and
like
it's interesting that the bar would play the starting line, because it's not like a song that a bar would play.
Yeah.
But I saw funny joke theory, could be true, and that like the bar had a touch tunes and she like played the song. like I can just imagine like she's in like New York or some random city in the United States and she like downloads touch tunes and like plays the song. But this part too is crazy because you talk about in question, you talk about miscommunications and you don't know, you're not sure, and I don't know, and all those things, right? Jumping to conclusions made me fall away from you. I'm so glad that the truth has brought us back together, me and you. We're sitting on the ground and we whisper, say what you're thinking out loud. Tell me what you thought about when you were gone and so alone. It's kind of undeniable there. Yeah. And then along with him covering this song twice in that era, and then bringing up the starting line here. It's kind of like, okay guys, this song that was intertwined in the magic fabric of our dreaming. So it's like this song was very important to them. It says the magic fabric of our dreaming and the tragic fabric of our dreaming. So it's talking about like them, I think, planning and like talking about one day we'll be together, and like this song makes me think of you and things like that.
A line that she kind of talked a lot about even prior to the release of this album is old habits die screaming. Originally I thought that was going to be about Joe. Obviously it's not. What do you think she means by old habits die screaming?
This is really hard for me. I feel like a dummy when it comes to this line because I just don't fully know what exactly the old habit is.
Referring to.
Is it her checking up on a location, like checking her man's location? Is that the old habit? Like I usually have a habit of checking where you're at, and now I did it and I regret it. I just don't have a particular like pin on exactly what the old habit is. Yeah,
and then the rest of the song is her talking about how she's just heartbroken over this and how she's really kind of almost like bitter about it. All those best laid plans, you said I needed a brave man that pursued to play him until I believed it. Like,
and what I kind of see there is like, you know, Taylor's criticisms of Joe were always that he couldn't handle her as Taylor Swift, as the fame, as the person who wanted to be like a big, larger than life personality, and you know, he didn't let her be jeweled, so to speak. So I could see Maddie coming in and being like, you need a brave man that can, you know, stand up to this and be there for you and like not back down or whatever. And so he's like, I'm gonna do that, and he proceeded to play it until she believed it. But he couldn't.
And then he left because it was too much because of all the fans being such an uproar.
And I
over
think,
them dating.
I mean, I truly think what's meant to be is meant to be in the world. And so I think had the Speak Up Now thing, had the fans just, like, loved him and been so excited for the relationship, I still think it might not have worked out.
I agree.
There's still a lot of, like, stans that want Maddie and Taylor to get back together again and think, like, you know, the fans screwed it up and it's all their fault, and if that hadn't happened, they'd still be together. And I really think that something could have come along in the way that something would have happened.
Yeah, I agree. I think that as much as they were so alike, they were also very different. And I think after a while, even if the fans weren't so angry about them together, I think in general, I don't think they would have.
I think there's demons that
wouldn't have.
Yeah, I think he is.
And she mentions that it feels like in the song that does come up a little bit for her in the relationship of his drug use or, you know, just his old habits.
But we can jump back into another piece of lore that fits in here. I just don't understand how you don't miss me in the shower and remember how my rain-soaked body was shaking.
So we might be wrong about this upcoming theory. So, correct us if we're wrong.
I'm pretty sure, but I just don't have the deets. But I'm pretty sure.
100%.
Basically, there was a point where Maddie was going to the shows publicly, right? There was a few weeks or a few shows that he was supposed to be there, but just wasn't in the public view. And so my whole theory and a lot of people's theories of the rain-soaked body line is from Gillette Night 2. She gave her speech of I'm the happiest I've ever been in all aspects of my life. And I want to play you a song that reminds me of happy memories. And then she plays Question.
This is the rainiest rain show that ever rain showed. Ever. No one ever expects you're going to basically perform like in a shower. It's really very exciting. I was thinking about what song to play with you tonight. And I was thinking, there's a song from Midnights that I love so much. I haven't played it on this tour or ever. So I figured that could be fun to play with you. And I just, oh my gosh, this is insane. I've just never been this happy in my life, in all aspects of my life, ever. It's not just a tour, it's like, I don't know, I just sort of feel like my life finally feels like it makes sense. And so I thought I'd play this song, which brings me really a lot of happy memories. Good girl, sad boy.
Love the line, was it hazing for a cruel fraternity I pledged? That is wild. Of like, was this all a joke to you? Like, she seems like she asks herself that quite a few times in this album and in this song alone. A sleeper cell spy, will this all be declassified one day? Like, it seems like she was really questioning, like, was this a freaking joke? Like, was this part of your, like, performance art? Was this just, like, what is this?
It's so interesting, like, how you could be so sure when you're in it that he's telling the truth, you know, that he would never lie, and then afterwards,
all those ladies,
you really start to question everything.
Another interesting thing in this, 6 weeks of breathing clean air, and I still miss the smoke. So many smoke references in Taylor's lyrics are about Maddie. I knew the smoke would hang around. A smoke cloud billows out his nose like a freight train through a small town. Just a lot of smoke references usually go to Maddie, obviously, because he's a smoker.
When she says 6 weeks, that means like 6 weeks since the breakup? So
6 weeks since they either have broken up or haven't been together physically.
So she wrote this 6 weeks after they broke up, we thinking. So it took him, so she was still looking at his location 6 weeks after they were together.
Yeah, I mean, who to blame her? Theory was that when she was wearing these like crazy cat pants, jeans or whatever, but if you look close, you can actually see in the photo, she's wearing biker shorts and she's got the Eagles sweatshirt is on the thing right there, and she's got biker shorts on.
Oh, interesting.
So June 22nd. Now, let's look at the timeline. June 22nd of 2023, that was technically only 4 weeks since the breakup, if the breakup was beginning of June. I don't know if that is something she, you know, added in later. You know, she's not always specific, but that is very interesting.
Maybe she started the song and then finished the song a little later or something, like 6 weeks after. Or maybe originally was like 4 weeks out, and then whenever she's recording, she can just say
it
6
sounds
weeks.
better. And then we just have some crazy things of she's just like, I want to hire a priest to come and exercise my demons. Like, that's how much I want to get rid of just like longing for you.
After a breakup, you just want to like forget everything, and like, I get you. I need to exercise them too after a breakup. Like, I get you.
Right. So, and another little piece that we didn't talk back on is just the line of she's too young to know this song. Maddie is infamous for dating young models. I mean, he's engaged to Gabriette, who's 26, so that's like a 9-year age difference.
Oh, okay, he's like
I think
30.
he's 35 now. All like that.
Point to Maddie. Alright, on to song 2. I'm gonna get you back, stylized as one word, which is very 1975.
Yes,
coded.
so the song that the 1975 mainly does that on is Falling For You off their first album. And that song, Maddie dedicated to Taylor when she visited his show. One of the early, she'd gone to the show multiple times, but this is the one of the infamous Kiss Gate when 2 a.m. came around. It was 2 a.m. I think these
Yes, 2 a.m. I think.
I saw that as the track listing. I immediately was like, okay, girl.
Yeah.
So.
And the song is very Olivia Rodrigo coded in the fact that it's very much like, I want to get you back as in I want to date you, but I also want to get you back as I want to get revenge.
Yes, but also Olivia wasn't the first one to like come up with that.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, I mean,
I never heard that before.
The double meaning of I want to get you back is like,
I guess,
you know, everybody can kind of play on that. Yeah. She's not the one who like invented the thought.
Olivia definitely is the one that kind of popularized it for the moment, and of course, obviously, because Olivia and Taylor are so linked, a lot of people kind of compare the two. I don't think there's really a big reason to. Like, it's not, like you said, it's not super like uncommon to like play that.
The songs are completely different, even though it's the same thought process. It's also very different. This is one of those ones we can kind of go through a lot quicker because there's not too much to like pick apart. And we talk about basically whether I'm gonna be your wife or I'm gonna smash up your bike. I haven't decided yet, but I'm gonna get you back. Whether I'm gonna curse you out, take you back to my house. So she's like, am I gonna fuck you up or am I gonna make you mine?
Get revenge on you because you fucked up my life. But
questioning when this song was written too, because it doesn't fit in the timeline of like, say you've got somebody, I'll say I've got someone too. I don't know if this was written when she met Travis. I don't know if she actually wanted him back, because I think some of her songs are very specific, right? But then other songs are a little bit more generic and like not as like specific to her life. I think sometimes she'll write like The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, where it's like every single word is very like pointed, whereas some of the songs she comes up with just an idea and then writes around it, where it's not necessarily every single word
that's true.
is specific.
So
like,
maybe she's had this idea and was like,
she's like something standing at the bar, like something's funny that might, I don't really think that happened. She does link this to Maddie because she's saying small talk, big love, act like I don't care what you did. I'm an Aston Martin that you steered straight into the ditch, then ran and hid. And so the ran and hid is really the line that points to it.
Yeah, that verse just feels so Maddie coded. Pick your poison way, I'm posting either
That's
way.
one of my favorite.
Oh,
I really don't know when in the timeline this was written. Of push the reset button, we're becoming something new. Say you've got somebody, I'll say I've got someone too. Even if it's handcuffed, I'm leaving it with you. So once again, I think this song is a little bit more like metaphorical and like she's thinking about it.
Okay, the albatross. I wonder if she like saw the bird then realized it was a bird that's over the ocean for 6 years, or like how did she figure that out?
I think this is similar to Cassandra, where they're both like old stories, right? Cassandra is about, and we'll touch on that, but the one who warned about the Trojan horse. And then the albatross is like an old, I don't know why, I don't know what to call it, like a legend or whatever. And so I don't know, I'm curious of like, I feel like maybe she hears things in her life, like stories and things, and like,
and she reads
tucks them away for another day. Like, she had heard about Cassandra, the story of Cassandra somehow. I mean, I've heard she has different interests, you know, she's like, you know, into a bunch of stuff. So it is interesting though, to know, like, when did she make that connection. It is really interesting.
But yeah, so basically the albatross is a bird, I guess, that kind of flies over the ocean and never is able to land for some reason. I don't really know why. For 6 years, which people would then point this song to being about Joe because of their six-year relationship.
So there's a poem called The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And so this is where it comes from. It tells the story of a sailor who shoots a friendly albatross, cursing himself and his crew. As punishment, he's forced to wear the bird around his neck, making the albatross a symbol of his burden and regret. Albatrosses have symbols of both good and bad luck. So basically, there's a longer version of this, but he was said to not shoot the albatross, and he did. It shows that a thoughtless act can have lasting repercussions. When he kills the innocent albatross, he's unable to escape the lasting burden of it. So Taylor being the albatross and also the burden of being with her.
Interesting. So yeah, she just says she's the albatross. She's referring to herself when she says she's the albatross.
Really, it kind of starts with they tried to warn him about her. She's here. She's the albatross. She's here to destroy you. Basically, Taylor, like, men are warned about Taylor of like she's Taylor Swift. She's gonna write a song about you. She comes with all of this baggage because you got to deal with the fame and the fans and the paparazzi and all of this. And so they are saying like she's the albatross, like she's gonna burden you down. It's not. You don't want to deal with her. There's a lot of like deep poetry crap going on in here that can be delved into like deeper and deeper on like an analytical like English class level of so like the wise men once said, one bad seed kills the garden, one less temptress, one less dagger to sharpen. Still don't fully have like
a full understanding of it.
Locked me up in towers, but I'd visit in your dreams. They tried to warn you about me. So, I don't know, because this is actually one of my favorites off of the anthology tracks. And so I've really tried to, like, get it fully. And I'm like, my little pea brain needs to go back to English class.
And if you guys have anything that you guys want to say about this song in the comments below, let us know, because we definitely could use what your thoughts are, because obviously we're kind of still trying to understand it. So we'd love to hear what you think about this song. Persona non grata is a Latin term meaning an unwelcome person. And you're the persona non grata. You're the unwelcome person.
It's weird though, and when the sky rains fire on you, I thought it was and your, Y-O-U-R, but this is showing that doesn't make sense. And you are persona non grata. Is that, can you say that? And you are persona non grata? So she's basically saying like, once you're with me, now you're facing all this backlash, you're facing the heat of my fame, and I'm gonna tell you I've been there, I've received all of that. And it doesn't matter, like, you just gotta not believe it. Wise men once read fake news and they believed it.
Oh my god, true.
Yeah, kind of just talking about, like, jackals raised their hackles, they couldn't conceive it. You were sleeping. I think this kind of paints a picture of Maddie where they thought, okay, we can come out about this and it's going to be okay. It's going to be a little rough at first, but really I think you were sleeping soundly when they dragged you from your bed. I tried to warn you. I think he thought everything was going to be okay, but
I'm the life you chose in all this terrible danger. Wow.
Yeah, which is similar to peace. Of like, I could never give you peace. Yeah. Because of my fame, and I'm the life you chose. Like, if you choose me, I can never give you peace.
So you think the whole theory about the 6-year bird thing doesn't matter? Really, what matters is the fact that
I don't know anything about this 6-year thing.
That's what I heard about the albatross. It's a bird that flies over water for 6 years. Yeah, the fully flagged young birds will spend up to 6 years at sea before returning land to find a partner.
It definitely is very interesting. Yeah, because it's saying after her 6-year relationship, she returns to find a partner, aka Maddie. But regardless, I think that is very interesting.
What's the next song?
We're back at another big yappy.
Yeah.
So if you have watched, like, if anybody has watched the Swiftologists breakdown of the Maddie, it's the video where he says like the full Maddie Taylor timeline. He kind of refers to Chloe or Sam, or Sophia or Marcus. I'm gonna probably just call it Chloe or Sam, like I'm like talking to it shorthand reference. He kind of like shows how everything kind of alludes back, and I can't remember the exact word he used, but Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus is really the key to a lot of other songs, and like relating back.
Oh,
and it's
interesting.
Just,
really?
It is a very informational song with lots of lore and things that will give you insight to other parts of her work. This song, deep with lore, it's gonna go forever. Your hologram stumbled into my apartment, hands in the hair of somebody in darkness, named Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus. So this is up to debate of like, the hologram is like her memories of him, right?
Yeah.
She's like sitting in her apartment, they have memories in this apartment.
Of what?
And yeah, she's kind of imagining. Basically, she's just like, I'm envisioning you out with some other person.
Is Maddie bisexual? Like,
so actually, he's not.
I wonder why she mentioned both
boys and girl
names. But he has, like, kissed
boys.
Oh, okay.
He would kiss people on tour at certain points of time. Yeah. He's kissed men.
But he doesn't identify.
He does not identify as bisexual.
So interesting that I wonder why she mentioned both boys and girls names.
I mean, post breakup, he did kiss a guy. He did kiss 2 guys on stage. He kissed. One was like a security guard, and then one was Ross, a member of the band.
Oh, okay.
So some people are saying this is alluding to, like, you're kissing someone random, and he's specifically alluding to him kissing at his shows. Or she's just saying it literally could be anybody, I don't know. It could be a freaking guy. You know, she's kind of just like, whatever.
Yeah.
So here's an important line. As the decade would play us for fools, and you saw my bones out with somebody new who seemed like he would have bullied you in school, and you just watched it happen. And a lot of people were like, oh, Travis seems like he would bully Maddie in school. No, you have to pay attention to the original line. So as the you have to pay attention to the line before that. As the decade would play us for fools.
Oh, yeah, true.
And you saw my bones out with somebody new. So basically, a decade ago, we're talking about the span of things. Most likely, this is referring to Calvin.
That's right.
Because she jumped ship and, like, went to Calvin, like, right away around the time that her and Maddie were meeting, and there was, like, could they happen? And it kind of does talk about here in the Genius Notes. So most likely, Calvin. And she's basically saying, like, she said, I just watched it happen, you just watched it happen. Like, a lot of inaction is going on. Like, we care about each other a lot, but we're
no
both
one's saying
not.
about it.
But also, like, the apathy behind it. She's like, you just watched it happen.
Yeah.
You didn't do anything.
Very
I just
apathetic.
watched you kiss Chloe or Sam or Sophia or Marcus, and I just watched it happen. Kind of some, like, weird apathy there. The most tragic thing, if you want to break my cold heart, just say I loved you the way that you were. Which this makes me wonder if once they did finally get back together, was there incompatibilities of wishing things were like they were when they first met? So much has led them to the point of them getting back together. You'd think they would have got some, you know, that issue would have came up if it was an issue. And then we go to, if you just want to tear my world apart, say you've always wondered. I always wondered since the first time we had our encounter what would have happened if we tried it. Like, do you always wonder too? And, like, that'll break my heart if you said that too, because now we've always wondered together.
Yeah.
Which is what happened. You said some things that I can't unabsorb. You turned me into an idea of sorts. So, but then she jumps to the line of, you needed me, but you needed drugs more. Now, I see this as, you needed me, but you needed drugs more, is referring to past tense.
Oh,
so with talking about the decade would play for fools.
Yes.
So I don't know about saying some things I can't unabsorb and turning me into an idea of sorts, if that was something he did
in the past
or in present. Because saying things she can't unabsorb
is also could be presently as well.
And I'm wondering, okay, can she not absorb this, and that's why they're gonna be broken up forever, or could she not absorb them back then, but then she oversaw them?
Or those things are lingering on her, and then that's why she couldn't forget him. Maybe like that's why they kind of kept this, like, flirtationship throughout those 10 years. Like, I can't absorb them, so I'm still hearing them in my head even 10 years later.
Yeah. We're finally back together. Was there something missing that he really wanted her back then? Or you turned me in an idea sorts. They turned each other into ideas of each other, and they were writing songs and, like, imagining what life would have been if they stayed together, and it was an idea of each other. And so I think she couldn't watch it happen. She had to remove herself from his life in 2014 because he was still a drug addict, and she, you know, was Taylor Swift, but also she couldn't really take on the burden of helping him heal. He had to do that himself. Now still referring to the past tense, so that's why I think all this mostly is past tense. She says, I changed into goddesses, villains and fools, changed plans and lovers, and outfits and rules, all to outrun my desertion of you.
She was trying to.
And it's crazy, because she's basically saying, like, everything I did was to try to forget you. Yeah. Which is...
And he saw that, and he just
the inaction there. You just watched it.
Yeah.
So then the bridge also is talking about moving through time again. She says, if the glint in my eye trace the depths in your side, down that passage in time, back to the moment I crashed into you like so many wrecks do.
My God.
Too impaired by my youth to know what to do. If we go back in time to when we first met, you know, what would it be like? And she's saying, like, we were both too young to know what to do with this crazy, like, passion.
Yeah.
Really, honestly confirming, this song really confirms that things started with them a long time ago in the past.
Okay,
and then we go into this heart-wrenching verse. So if I sell my apartment and you have some kids with an internet starlet, would that make your memory fade from the scarlet maroon?
Oh, yeah.
Like it never happened. So obviously confirming maroon is about Maddie. That's a whole other can of worms.
Internet starlet could be referring to who's now engaged to
so if we just jump back up to the beginning of that verse, of verse 3, jumping back up to, so if I sell my apartment, I think she talks about her apartment a lot. She had some attachment with him there in that apartment. she's wanting to get rid of these demons, like old habits die screaming. She wants to get rid of it. So if I sell my apartment, will help these memories fade, because there's memories of me and you there. If you have some kids with an internet starlet, basically a premonition here, but so many of Maddie's exes have been, you know, internet models and things. He's dated insanely talented artists like FK Twigs and Halsey, but a lot of internet starlet girlies. Now, you know, the premonition, Gabriette is an internet starlet. The most heart-wrenching lyrics of all time of, could it be enough just to float in your orbit?
I know.
Would it be enough just to exist in each other's orbits? Like, we can't be together, so is it enough just to, like, exist around each other?
No, girl. It will not be enough. You can't do
right?
that.
Can we watch our phantoms like watching wild horses? Cooler in theory, but not if you force it to be. This is a really clunky, weird line. I don't love it. I don't understand the cooler in theory, but if not if you force it.
Like, yeah, it sounds good in my head, but really, we know it wouldn't be a good idea to actually sing.
Yeah, it seemed like they really tried to force. So I think Claire, Sam, Sophia, Marcus really just kind of sets the scene of, like, it shows the kind of beginning of Taylor and Maddie meeting and her regrets of, you know, what could have been in the past and how things kind of happened that 2014-2015 year, and then now coming into present day, and it's still like not working.
Okay, so next up is song 21, How Did It End? Pretty self-explanatory.
First off though, I do not get, we hereby conduct this postmortem. So many of us were like so confused when we were like doing the puzzles, right? Because it's like, we hereby conduct this postmortem what? Examination, this postmortem something. And so she's saying like, we hereby conduct this postmortem. It feels like there should be more to that sentence. He was a hothouse flower to my outdoorsman. Wild line.
I know.
Hothouse flower is somebody who is sheltered and fragile and is a flower that has to be grown in the hothouse.
Yeah.
She's the outdoorsman. She wants to go out and explore and flourish. You know, we're talking about Joe here. Our maladies were such we could not cure them. They couldn't, whatever they could do, your face is gray wouldn't make me sick. There were just a lot of those things of like, their relationship was sick and they couldn't find a cure to it. And so he, you know, was no longer hers. So basically this song is more of a Joe song. It can relate to any relationship though.
When people hear people are breaking up, I mean, maybe it's more so about like in the media for her, that people just want to care how it happened. They don't really care like, oh god, I feel bad for you, I'm so sorry that sucks. They just want to know the details. They don't want to know the tea, they don't want to know the gossip, they want to know what's going on. Which I think we all did whenever they first broke up. We're like, wait, they've been there for 6 years. Did someone cheat? Did what happened?
I know, a girl, we all want to know the tea.
Yeah, and so maybe as someone that is more of a person in the public eye, maybe she's just kind of saying like, that hurts, like I was with someone for 6 years, like can you guys just not like try gossip about this?
I mean, the lyrics really are just that. They're talking about her being like, here it is again, Taylor Swift has a breakup, everybody's gonna be, you know, wanting to hear about it. And it really talks for itself of just you know, our dreams died and our relationship died.
And the fact that the ending is, I still don't know how did it end, that is crazy. I think she does know, but like, because it's such a long breakup, what we're assuming, it's like, I can't really pinpoint exactly the one point that was like, how did it end? It really, there was no one point. It kind of just died.
And she's like, I don't really have an explanation.
So when someone asked how did it end, she's like, I can't tell you. Like, it just kind of like, just did. We get whiplash going from this song.
That's true. Like, I broke up with Joe, now
I'm really happy.
So
it's so high school.
This song, like you said, kind of the beginning, AG, is like pretty self-explanatory. I do love the vibe of this track of the early 2000s.
The guitar is so good.
The minute I heard it, it was like, oh my gosh, she's doing this like early 2000s movie soundtrack vibe.
We kind of talked about this a little bit in the first part as well. I remember saying that the song reminded me of Ethel Cain's American Teenager, whatever it's called.
There's been a million edits of like this song up with all the like real life things that she is referencing in this, of like the Marry Kiss or Kill Me
the interview.
Crinkling eyes. I do love that she uses that because Taylor always like describes the eyes of her lovers with Maddie half moon eyes, with you talks about green eyes, blue. She always talks about the eyes, and so the fact that she chose crinkling for Travis is really the cutest thing ever.
And I think that Taylor really needed this kind of so high school type of love, even though people might say it's immature because she's, you know, older. People might think of this kind of being immature. I think this is what she needed, considering she came from her relationship.
Something lighthearted.
Joe,
she needed something lighthearted.
And yeah, and Maddie, that were just like so damn
these
like,
two tortured
intense.
artists, moody men. Yeah.
And Taylor is someone that, though is very introspective and very intellectual, she's also like someone that's silly, and she deserves someone that she can be silly with and be lighthearted with.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what Travis is for her.
For sure. And I get kind of annoyed when people are like, oh, Taylor writes a song about Travis and it's this like superficial blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Okay, give her some freaking time. Like, she's going to write more songs. Like, this isn't the only type of song. Like, this is, you have to think, Tortured Poets was written in only so much time. So her and Travis were only dating so many months before this came out. So I think that we can still expect great music with lots of depth from it. But at this point in time, where their relationship didn't have an insane amount of depth because it was only so far in. She was writing these.
Still new.
I always think it's interesting of like, I'm high from smoking your jokes. I always wonder if the Super Bowl after party, everybody was like curious if she was smoking or not, because there were people smoking there. And I wonder if that's just a subtle play at that, possibly.
But we'll move on to the next song. I Hate It Here.
I think this one is also a very poetic, could be picked apart in an English class type of song.
Okay. Before we started filming, I was asking her if she thinks that this is about her relationship with Joe that she hated, like she was unhappy, so unhappy relationship. Would you say you think?
So I think it's more of just hating it here in her life in that moment. Like, I hate it in this relationship. I hate it and I'm stuck in this situation.
Okay.
But I will say, and a lot of people have made this connection of the secret gardens in her mind. Part of me thinks, and I think it is maybe Joe in this sense, could it be interpreted, she feels like she can't write openly and honestly about her relationship with Joe, which is why she has Folklore and Evermore, because she felt like she had to create these characters. So she's saying, I hate it here in this relationship, I can't write it, so I'm going to go to secret gardens in my mind. I'm going to go and write about folklore. And maybe it wasn't just Joe she was unhappy about, maybe she was you know, just other aspects. But she's saying, I'm going to go to the secret garden in my mind. No one else can get here. And so she's saying, I'm going to keep it to myself. The 1830s line is, I don't understand why people are upset about it. Like, she's saying, I want to go back into the past, but like, I understand the past is problematic. Everyone would look down because it wasn't fun now. Like, she's making it this like ridiculous thing of saying, you know, oh yeah, except for the racists, they're getting married off, because she's saying like she was too realistic for that game. I love nostalgia as a mind trick, because nostalgia really does sometimes paint the past with rose-colored glasses.
Yes, it takes away all of the negative things that you really just think about the good things.
And even going into the chorus, now she changes Secret Gardens in my mind to Lunar Valleys in my mind. Midnights, question mark. Was she using Midnights and Folklore Evermore as these concepts in her head that she created as a way to be able to write about Joe publicly?
And I think also probably as a way to like decipher exactly how this relationship is going, how she's feeling the relationship. Like, I think for Taylor, like, it really is providing his kind of like a bloodline for her. Like, it's how she kind of figures out and moves through the world. And I think that, like, I think she knew she was unhappy with the relationship for a while with her, and she had to kind of like create these, like I said, lunar valleys in her mind to kind of dissect what she's really feeling, type of thing. And that's how we got Midnights. But she had to sugarcoat it in a certain way so she couldn't put it out to the world, because she was ready to kind of talk about how she really felt. Does that make sense? Going
into the bridge, I'm lonely but I'm good. She talked about being a lonely millennial woman during the pandemic, when it's like, you were in a relationship, so why were you lonely? She felt very lonely in the relationship. I'll save all my romanticism for my inner life. So basically, she keeps it all in her head. And kind of lets herself get lost in these daydreams, these stories that she could make up as an escape of like how she was able to write about being unhappy without ruining her relationship. Because I mean, that's true. Like, even in a secure relationship, you're gonna have issues, and it's like writing out those issues publicly probably is kind of awkward for your significant other,
especially while you're still in it.
So I think that was her way of coping, which is like crazy and super freaking genius. But lucid dreams, like electricity. In my fantasies, she's just constantly talking more of like, it seems like she really had this inner world that she just kind of like went to.
And I feel like she probably just had to go there to cope.
Yeah, 100%.
Because she did hate it there.
100%.
So it just proves that they really were not in game.
So she probably was in that end phase where it's like, you're still really trying to make it work, but really you know you're unhappy and it's not, and all of that.
And we got hints of that a lot throughout her music.
With Midnights too.
And then she just ends it the same way she started it with
classic Taylor Swift, bringing it back to the beginning.
Wait, I have a quick question. What do you mean when she says, quick, tell me something awful? What does that mean?
I have no idea.
Oh, like distract me from my problems.
Oh, distract me from my problems. Okay.
Oh, on to the next song. Thank you, aIMee, which is stylized.
I mean, so much of this is self-explanatory.
Obviously, KM is capitalized. Pretty self-explanatory that the song is about Kim Kardashian.
Thinking about everything that happened in the Reputation era.
And she's
and
still
her
holding
being
on to it.
and it's interesting because this isn't saying thank you to Kanye. She's saying thank you to Kim. Like, part of it, I think if things didn't go down with Kanye the way they did, a lot of this wouldn't have happened for her too. But she's also giving credit to Kim in that sense of like, also, I've called Kanye out and I'm gonna freaking call you out in a song. Very interesting, and I think this plays into something that we kind of will see with the manuscript of like, possibly Taylor was re-recording her old songs while writing some of these songs, because I think a decent portion of the anthology was written possibly pre-Maddie, of like the songs that don't have to deal with Maddie. I think some of these could have been songs that were lingering around. So she'd been working on it for 2 years. So I think, but then obviously a lot of these Maddie songs could not have been written till they broke up. So I think there were songs that possibly like this that existed that she just like slapped on the anthology, which is why the anthology is not as well thought of, cohesive. Watching again the Swiftologist before I came here, something else that he said, and obviously like, you know, I just think his takes on things are really interesting because he actually acknowledges a lot of stuff that like a lot of people won't acknowledge.
He's very critical.
But he comes at it from a very third-party perspective. He's like, I don't give a fuck about Joe. I don't give a fuck about Maddie. I don't give a fuck about all these men. I care about the lyrics and the story and Taylor and like what she's telling us about her life in these lyrics. One of the criticisms that he had that I disagreed with was just that the anthology didn't really need to happen or didn't need to be as long as it did, and it had a lot of random stuff thrown on it. And he says it might have been more impactful had it been released later. Things like that. And this is one of those songs that is kind of just out of the blue. It doesn't really fit with anything else in it.
Like, we definitely were not thinking that she was still thinking about Kim Kardashian.
And it actually I was like, wow, I forgot. Like, she actually still probably is affected. I'm like over here watching the Kardashians and I'm like,
I know.
I need to not because I'm
abandoning
my girl over here. I think a lot of this was, some of these songs were written while she was re-recording, and so you'll see here maybe she was while she was re-recording Reputation, it kind of brought up these past memories that inspired her to write this.
The first half of the song she's like, fuck you, aIMee, and she has a lot of anger in this song about what she had to deal with Kanye and Kim's situation, and then towards the end of the song she says thank you. She's like, thank you because I realized that like I could get through the hardest shit ever because you
tested me.
You tested me. Like I didn't realize how strong I was, but thank you for showing me that I could really overcome anything. Like you showed me that. Like thank you. Like kind of a weird like bittersweet like gratitude, but also like a little bit like like sassy.
Those are some big emotions, and like obviously we don't want to give Kim Kardashian any credit, but
but I think like she says like I wouldn't have all this if it weren't for you. Like I wouldn't have realized that I could like be the bad bitch that I am if I wasn't put through the shit that you put me through.
That's true.
25, I look in people's windows.
I think by now everybody kind of knows that it interpolates Death by a Thousand Cuts. This song is another one of those like kind of zoomed out, less specific, more over
vague
idea. It's more written on an idea than in a specific experience. I'm still obsessed with it. I love it. I wish it was a longer song. It's the shortest song on the album,
which I think makes people wanting more. I feel like there's songs that like this is like I wish there was more to it. I wish there was like a bridge. Like maybe that's why I don't like love it so much. I feel like I just am missing something in the song.
You're really being put into a world here of, you know, the lovers are no longer together and they're so far out of each other's lives that they don't even know when they'll see each other next again. And so, and I kind of have an experience of this where it's like you're broken up and you wonder if you're gonna see them again, so you kind of look for them in places. And like for me, like my ex had like a very specific car with like a lot of stickers on it, and so when I was driving around town I would always wonder, like if I saw a car that looked like his, I would look for the stickers. I'd be like, is he around? Like what is he up to? And so I feel like I kind of relate to that in this sense of like you're just like always looking around, like just in case, like what if we meet eyes and like what would happen. I thought about this line before of like transfixed by rose golden glows. I'm wondering if it's in the sense of like rose colored glasses.
That's what I thought too.
She's looking at it in a rosy way. And then just the does it feel alright to not know me? I'm addicted to the if only. And
girl,
you would have haunted all of my what ifs. I think Maddie in general is the what ifs. The if only we could have made it work. If only the Swifties didn't kick, you know, didn't ruin it. Or only if you didn't fuck it up by doing this.
Or if only we could have gotten back together 10 years ago or 7 years ago in between. Like, and if I never met Joe, like, if only, what could have happened?
Yeah. And so does it feel right to not know me just goes back into they're fully separated at this point, and it's like, you know, in a relationship, like we don't know each other anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's very interesting how these songs are like less to delve into and talk about them though. I didn't think it would be such a stark difference, but I do find us going through these ones so much faster.
And I think it's because they're more just like a singular theme, whereas the other ones have a more of a through line, like you said earlier.
When we get into the prophecy, which is so fucking sad.
God, the saddest song ever. Can I relate? Can a lot of girls relate to this
Girlie,
fucking song?
you have your man. You and Yessie both. Like, I relate to this song so much. I'm like, who is 30 and single and has only had one relationship in their life?
I felt like this a lot before I met my man, okay? Like, feeling like you're the one before the one. Feeling like nobody could stay with you longer than 3 months, but feeling like once they get to know you, they dip. When is it gonna be me? When is it gonna be my turn? I said everyone else falling in love.
But you got your turn. And yes, you got her turn. I'm still waiting for my turn. So
you'll get your turn. You'll get your turn.
Specifically for Taylor, it wasn't when will she find a guy. She's saying, I think her specifically with her prophecy was she finds a guy, she thinks he's the one, and her fame and like the heaviness of who she is breaks it down, and that's why she's also saying like, I don't want money. She's saying like, my fame, like at this point it's like, I just want someone that wants me and
can deal with my fame and is okay with it.
She's saying, but also the don't want money thing is like,
I don't need to have all this money as long as I just have someone like, she kind of talks about in that Miss America documentary, how she's like, I got everything I ever wanted, and I was there alone. I think
this was written post Maddie, where she's like, okay, I thought he was the one. It didn't work out. I thought Joe was the one. It didn't work out, and so she's like, and it seems like
even
they were
Jake Gyllenhaal even back then, like she thought she found
and I think a lot of her relationships she felt had similar fates that just kept playing out because she was too Taylor Swift. It just didn't.
Well, literally like the reason her and Jake broke up because he couldn't handle. Remember that picture of him screaming in the paparazzi? He was like,
no, I don't. Oh my gosh.
Like her in the car. She looks like a little baby, like in the car, and he's like screaming at the paparazzi.
I'm looking at the line on Genius about poisoned blood from the wound of a pricked hand. Okay, so like having to wait out because she pricked her hand. This is punishment for something. Is it punishment? Just basically saying like, what did I do to deserve this? And I just love the line of like, a greater woman stays cool, but I howl at like a wolf at the moon. Just kind of like that picture of like her like at night, like crying out like viscerally. She's not like playing it cool. She's begging and sobbing at night. I'm so afraid I sealed my fate. No sign of soulmates. A paperweight and shades of greige.
Greige is obviously the cover of the album as well. Beige and gray is the cover of the album.
So beautiful though that she wrote this song, and then in a matter of probably weeks, possibly a month or two, she met Travis. So I mean, it is hope to like how quickly things can turn around.
No idea what's coming for you. No idea what. She'd probably hear soon thinking, I just ended a 6-year relationship where I thought I was gonna be with forever, and then I thought I found the one that I thought I was supposed to be with for 10 years, and then now it's like, now what? Now she's like really begging. She's like, when is it really gonna be my turn? And
the prophecy is her, the prophecy of her always getting in the way of her relationships, her fame, her as a person.
And her ending please, her last please in the song is so devastating. It's like barely even there. It's like, please. Like it's so
really
little.
And it's realistic. Oh damn.
It's like barely there. So sad. Next up, song 27, Cassandra. What a song it is. Like, what a fucking song is Cassandra. Like she...
And the streets is a raging riot.
And when the truth came out, they're quiet. It just reminds me so much of the Kanye and Kim situation, where she was like, I was telling the truth. It was an edited phone call. He never asked for permission. And everyone was throwing snakes up in my DMs. And then once the full phone call came out and showed it wasn't edited, showed she wasn't lying, nobody said shit. Nobody said anything. There's no news about that.
I know. And this is another one that I think could have possibly came up with the rewriting of, and it's also saying here, in my new house, placing daydreams, patching up the crack along a wall, I pass it and lose track of what I'm saying. It's almost like this crack, so there's something in her life that is reminding her and triggering this memory, and then that brings her back into
when
Cassandra.
I got the call. Yes, and Cassandra.
So it says that the lore of Cassandra is she was in Greek mythology, so she was a Trojan priestess dedicated to the god Apollo and fated by him to utter true prophecies but never to be believed. And so
That
I
sucks.
think she warned them of the Trojan horse and like things were happening and they didn't believe her. And so she's saying like, I was warning you guys about so many things just in the music industry in general and
Oh yeah, true.
all of these different things. And so they're saying like, I was kind of crucified as this awful woman, but really like I foresaw things that were coming. One line that does bring us back to the Kardashians again, the family, the pure greed, the Christian chorus line, the Kardashian family, the greed within them, the Christian chorus line of them being like, we're Christian, Kanye has a church and all this like, they all said nothing blood thick, but nothing like a payroll. That little hook of blood thick, but nothing but a payroll.
I know.
Is awesome. Blood thick, but nothing like a payroll. Interesting, but they never spared a prayer for my soul, saying like, y'all are Christian, but did you pray for me? It's just, yeah. Hey,
Peter.
In order to go through Peter, we also need to pull up in another tab, the Cardigan lyrics.
The song Peter's a reference to Peter Pan, and obviously in Peter Pan it's the Lost Boys that never grow up. She says, you said you grew up and come and find me.
See,
he never actually did.
Look.
I know, what are you doing? I don't understand.
Peter, I mean, obviously we're kind of talking about Peter Pan here.
Yes, and how he never wanted to grow up, and the song is a reference to that.
She says, forgive me, Peter, my lost fearless leader. He was the leader of the Lost Boys. This line, like, I think about this line regularly. The goddess of timing once found us beguiling. She said she was trying. Peter, was she lying? My ribs get the feeling she did. So she said, like, once timing was on our side, and, like, we thought that, like, the goddess of timing was telling us it'll be okay, like, you'll be together in time, like, trust me, it'll be there in time. And she's like, was she lying when she said that to us? Like, was she the goddess of timing, the metaphor of that? Like, was it never going to be okay in the end? Peter, I think it was never going to be the right time. She's like, I didn't want to come down, I thought it was just goodbye for now. So this kind of gives me the image of like when they were young and they had first met and she was kind of off in this world with him, and she's like, I didn't want to come down, but she had to. He was having his addiction, she was just starting this like huge peak of her career, so she thought it was just goodbye for now. She did come down and she thought they were gonna, you know, I thought you were gonna grow up and you were gonna come back to me. Something I heard someone say of the chorus of like how like fast and repetitive it is. It's almost like a hyperventilation, or like somebody sobbing of like, you said you were gonna grow up and you're gonna come find me. You said you're gonna grow up and you're gonna come find me. Like,
the mouth of babes promises oceans deep but never to keep. He promised her so many things, deep promises, but couldn't keep them.
Yeah, and I know we
so
see
sad.
Like mouths of babes, words from the mouths of babes of like something you know was said before we knew what. It was said while we were still innocent. We didn't know what the future would bring for us. We go back to the verse. Are you still a mind reader, a natural scene stealer? I've heard great things, Peter. Basically, like, they went and lived these separate lives, and she's like, I've heard great things, that you're, like, killing it with your band on tour, and you're doing all these things, and I hear through the grapevine and through our mutual friends that you're doing great things. But life was always easier on you than it was on me. So she had a lot more obstacles in her way, and she was over here getting beat up, and he was kind of, you know, obviously I think it's interesting because he also had certain hard life things. But she's saying, like, I've been over here in the trenches, and, like, but I heard you're doing great. And sometimes it gets me when crossing your jet stream, and I have, like, this visual image of my head of, like, her flying over London, or, like, being in the same, like, once we're, like, crossing each other's paths, we're in the same area. And when I'm around you, we both did the best we could do underneath the same moon in different galaxies. Basically, we're destined to not be together. And, you know, it does go back to the celestial, you know, references of moons and galaxies. They tried their best, but ultimately they're just in different worlds. So then we're just going back to, you know, I thought things were going to get better. I thought we were going to be able to come together. And so the bridge, this is just like, the most heart-wrenching thing in the whole world. And I won't confess that I waited, but I lamp the lamp burned. So if we go into the story of Peter Pan, which I had to kind of like refresh myself on, the mom sits by the window and is waiting for Peter to come back. I'm like, Peter's mother, who has barred the windows against him and is occupied with a new child. So the storyline is that Peter's mom was like waiting for him to come back. She got tired of waiting, and so she locked up the windows. There's a kind of a mix of like what can be seen as like there's some old Peter Pan storybook lore of his mother waiting up for him, but also Wendy did wait up for him at the window as well. And so she's saying, I won't confess that I waited for you, but I let the lamp burn. So she's saying, I didn't wait for you. Like, I went with Joe and I had all these things, but like in the back of my head, I still kind of let that, As the men masqueraded, I hope you return. So as I was seeing all these other men, I still thought about you in the back of my head. With your feet on the ground, tell me all that you've learned, because love's never lost once perspective is earned. So saying like, you know, you went and did all these things in life, and it's like there's no love lost there, even though you were out with other girls and doing other things, and
because perspective was earned there.
And this, you said you'd come and get me, but you were 25, and the shelf life of those fantasies has expired.
God.
They met. He was 25. He said, you know, I'll come back for you one day, and the shelf life of those fantasies has expired.
When they were
he
from
says
when they were
it's
younger.
Too late. Too late for you to come back for me. It's over. Lost to the Lost Boys chapter of your life. And the Lost Boys, it's either a song. So they have a song called The Lost Boys. Basically, you know, the Lost Boys, what, a bunch of boys are off, like, being like, we're gonna do what we want, and, you know, and so it's almost like he was, the Lost Boys chapter of his life was him and his band and all with his boys and doing these things. Forgive me, Peter, please know that I tried to hold on to the days when you were mine, but the woman who sits by the window has turned out the light. And so I think this also can go back to his mom or Wendy saying Wendy would sit by the window waiting up for Peter. She kept waiting and she kept waiting, and so she gave up and she turned out the light. We're kind of getting to the end of this, and we haven't really chatted about how this links to Cardigan. But obviously in Cardigan there's the line of Peter losing Wendy. And that's kind of where this links in. And so now if you think about that, and you think about Peter, the song, and then also now thinking of Peter as Maddie, Wendy, as Taylor, tried to change the ending, Peter losing Wendy.
I tried to not have us lose each other.
But the thing is, Peter does lose Wendy. So she was saying, I tried to make it so that Peter didn't lose Wendy. I tried to change the ending, but Peter did lose Wendy. I mean, it's crazy. When you're young, they assume you know nothing. I mean, when you can go back and look at these lyrics, we've got
I know you there's
all these there's all these Maddie things here. We're talking about Peter, like Peter Pan is a Maddie reference, leaving is a Maddie reference, young, talking about being young. Then we have tattoos. And we have smoke. It does link to Cardigan with
all my what ifs. And then we also in the last video about how she said I love you during one of his songs, Things About You. The song was called About You. And then she said I love you, you know this is about during Cardigan as well. So obviously more confirmation that Cardigan is about Maddie, and if Cardigan's about Maddie, then Peter Pan is definitely about Maddie, because these two songs are so interlinked. And considering that she wrote this song while she was with Joe is even more evidence, I guess, that he was on her mind for so long, even though she was still in a sexual relationship. Obviously, we also have Guilty of Sin. Next song is The Bolter. This is my favorite song on the second half of the album. It's not like I can even relate to it because I'm not a bolter. I'm a staying ass bitch no matter what. But the fact that I think it's just the melody is so good, and like I love how she wraps it up about how she almost died and how she slept in the freezing water or whatever when she was 6.
Like I could almost see this song on Folklore or Evermore. It's got that folky vibe, that storytelling
that's
vibe.
That's why I like it.
Don't even know if this is a song she's actually talking about her, if she's talking about a friend, if she's talking about a story she heard. I don't know.
I think it's kind of about just, in general, her love life in general.
But when has she been the one to run?
Well, she sticks things out. Like, she's always so down to, like, try and work things out for, like, as long as she can. For example, I don't know, I'm thinking about Jake Gyllenhaal right now and her relationship with him, where, like, I think it's pretty clear that they were together for only a short time, but I think they did break up and get back together a short time after that, especially from, if we know from Also Extended version. But she's like, I know when, like, because if we saw in the music video how she's like crying in the bed and she's like, he's calling, she's like, no, I know, like, I should have left. Like, even though I do try and stay, I also know when to leave. I know when to leave. Like, I am the bolter. I
think I'm open to, like, this being about Taylor, this being inspired by
someone else.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's, like, not super specific. In 2010, Swift said in an interview, I think I've developed this pattern of running away when it comes time to fall in love and stay in a relationship. That's very interesting.
Oh, interesting.
I would have never thought necessarily that was about her.
On the My music video. Okay, next up, Robin.
I mean, it is what it is. It was a song written in inspired by Aaron's son or daughter. Aaron's kid, Robin.
Yeah. It reminds me of a Never Grow Up. It reminds me of just kind of like saying like you are still so naive to how life can be so rough
that's
on
true.
you.
And we're trying to protect you.
Yeah, and it's like I just see this little person and I'm just like, wow, like I hope life is good for you. Like I hope you have to go through all the things. Like,
but I think what she also talks about here too is like the adults shielding things from her, shielding things from the kid to keep it for you, and all the showmanship to keep it for you, and sweetness. Buried down deep and out of your reach, the secret we all vowed to keep it from you in sweetness. So kind of like we're trying to keep your innocence as long as you can.
Yeah. And it's a song that really I think is for her, not necessarily for the fans.
Yeah, that's 100% true. She wrote it for her, wrote it for Aaron. It wasn't
and
necessarily
she's like,
for
I'll give it to the fans.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, now the last song, fuck. This song is crazy. I still to this day don't even think I could really wrap my head around it.
I need you to tell me what you think about it, because I don't know if I have a lot. This song confuses me a bit.
Okay, so the manuscript. I think it's about her maybe even going through all her re-records.
Yeah, like you were talking about earlier.
And just kind of being like, see, I can't explain it. How do I even explain it?
I don't get the, so they compared their licenses. He said, I'm not a donor, but I'd give you my heart if you needed it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So the deep details, I'm not too sure about. But like the overall theme, I think it's just like about, like, I mean, I just really go towards the end, because she's like, this story isn't mine anymore. Like
I get the end, and I think it's beautiful, but how we get to the end, the rest of the song is like iffy for me. I mean, she kind of confirmed for us exactly, because everybody kind of questioned, she says in the age of him, she wished she was 30. But afterwards, when they broke up, she only ate kid cereal, couldn't sleep unless it was in her mother's bed, so she felt so traumatized by having to be pushed into adulthood with this person that she regressed. And then she dated boys who were her own age. But then it jumps back. She thought about, so she's saying, like, as I was dating these guys my age, I thought about how he said, since I was so wise behind her years, it was all okay. But now that I'm dating guys that are my own age, I'm like, what?
Sure.
And so I think it's her. Everybody was like, oh, this is about Jake. I'm dumb, did not pick that up right away.
Oh, you thought Jake?
Yes.
I thought John Mayer.
So, well, she confirms it's Jake because she matched it up with Red the other day. It is annoying to read into her every little word, right? To read into everything. But then she does this shit.
I was going to say, but she like makes us.
She does manuscript with Red. She does Fresh Out the Slammer with High Infidelity. Like, it's like, come on, So then it's hard not to read into every single mashup she does. Now you're like, well, it's just, it's so hard because you don't want to read into all of it, and you don't know which ones you should read into and which ones you shouldn't. And this whole first verse I don't really get. I think it's she was talking to some guy, and he was charming her, and then he's like, the sex is half as good as the conversation, so he's like, oh, which is a bold fucking thing to say to some young girl. Like, soon we'll be pushing strollers. You're literally like barely even old enough to have a child.
I know. Yeah.
Then you go into the bridge, and now we're kind of going in the front. President test. The professor says to write what you know. Looking backwards is the only way to move forward. So I think she is looking back on her re-records and like all of how she's gotten to this life as her point.
And I also think about her, like, when she was 19, 20 years old, and she was, like, she was so heartbroken over these breakups or whatever, and she's like, I need to write what I know. I need to write this out so I could get through it.
The most beautiful thing, and at last she knew what the agony had been for.
It was for us.
It was for, being able to write, having this, like, art that she's able to present to the world, and just to have been able to, like, shape her and form her as a person, as a woman, for her future relationships. She knows that, like, she went through all this for all of that. And so she says, the only thing that's left is the manuscript. So what she wrote, she's written about these relationships. One last souvenir for my trip to your shores. It's crazy.
It makes me literally have chills.
I know.
And she says in the summation poem on the vinyl, did you say it here or did you say it in the Instagram post? It was the Instagram post.
It was the Instagram post. So when she announced the anthology, she says, the anthology, 15 extra songs, and now the story isn't mine anymore, it's all yours.
Yeah, it's all yours.
And the way that Taylor's talked about this on stage with other things, I think she wrote all this. She wanted to get it out there, get it off her chest,
and then leave it be.
The story's not mine. I think she needed to get it out, and she didn't want to linger because now she's entering into this new chapter of her life, and I think she wanted to move forward with a completely clean slate. We'll see. I mean, she could still be writing songs about the past, but I think a lot of this was like, I'm getting this all off my chest, all this music, all this stuff I've been holding on to. I want every single thing out there released, get this out, because I want to start fresh.
Yeah, I think it's just like a chapter closing. Like, she had to write this song to end this album. It had to be this song. It's out there, it's done. don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think we reached the end. I think that's the Tortured Poets department. Love it or hate it. Somewhere in between. A lot of stuff. But I think the reason it's so long and so much is because she wanted to get it all off her chest.
She had a lot to say. I think also as fans, we were feeling, I mean, I feel like I was feeling very disconnected from her for a little bit there. And thank God we're done with this freaking series. Okay, well, thank you so much, Sharon, for being in this video with me as always.
Thank you.
If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe before you go. And thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
Bye.